Hey guys, Chain Gear here, bringing another video, and today we are back with GearCast episode 6. Of course, that's right, episode 6. You know, we went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5.
What are we apologizing for this week?
I was gonna say we might as well hit an apology. I apologize for going straight from 4 to 5 last week. We literally just had episode 4, and then no other videos were made in 4, since 4, and then I posted 5. I was really busy that week. I wasn't in Chicago, so I wasn't able to really edit any videos or make any videos, and I didn't have any videos backlogged. So I did want to apologize for that. Like I said last time, we're growing. We're all kind of coming together here, doing this all together. Always, I tell you guys every single time, leave comments in the comment section below. That way we know what you guys want, what you like, what you don't like. And some people did do that this time, and I did respond to those comments, and the channel is actually changing completely because of those things. We're adding new things, adding new content. We can go over that kind of stuff later, but we really do appreciate you guys adding comments in. And remember, if you guys just want to shout out, just throw me your name. Tell me, maybe we give you your PSN name. We'll play you guys online. I love, of course, Blacklight. I will face any of you guys on Blacklight just to hang out, or maybe not face you, maybe not 1v1. I'm not that cool. I'm not that cool, but maybe we can play together, and then, what a jerk. I'm just not that good. And then, Vampire Peaches, he plays a lot of Rocket League. So if you guys want to play Rocket League with him or anything else, just let us know. Let us know in the comment section below. But anyway, of course, Vampire Peaches, official co-host of GearCast here at Chain Gear Gaming. How about you say what's up? Say hi.
Hey, this is a big deal. Sorry, I was in the middle of eating a burger when you were saying that.
Oh yeah, official co-host. I think we've dodged this. I was like, oh, our guest, Vampire Peaches, but I think you're gonna be on this show forever. So
Chain Gear has been on like the distinct fear that he's gonna lose me any second to the black hole that is Fallout 4, and he's not wrong in that assumption and in that fear. So official co-host, yes, I'm gonna be alive for a couple more weeks.
Great. What?
Nothing. I may or may not. I may or may not be able to now put a jetpack on my power armor in Fallout 4. Pretty excited about that. I may or may not be already level 41.
Oh my god. I have no idea if that's high or not. I'm sure it is, but I mean, it's only been out for like a week, right?
Damn high.
Gotcha. All right. Well, anyway, so you guys know how this goes. First thing we do is go over releases every single episode, just so you guys know.
The first thing we do is apologize.
Well, besides the apologies. So we go to www.releases.com, and then you'll go to one of my favorite sites. I always go to this site because it's easy. It's a beautiful looking website. Click on category, go to PlayStation 4, and we look at the games coming out the upcoming week. So the week of the 23rd, and this week, actually, this is a funny one. This week, a new game was announced, a game that literally was just like, oh, no, this game's coming out next week. It's kind of like, wait, what? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know
that was random. But otherwise, there's not a ton of games. It ends on the 28th, right? So, yeah.
We're on the same page, if you will. Yeah.
What? Are you like literally on the same web page? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was making an Ellen Page.
Oh, Ellen Page. Oh, I get it. Yeah, so November 24th. We've got 3 games coming out. Really, it's like 2 games coming out. So the first game that we want to talk about is Beyond Two Souls. That's coming out on November 24th. If you guys have not played any of Quantic Dream's games, they really are phenomenal. Not in the general sense of games where like, oh, it's like, it's art. It really is like art. Like you can't play a Quantic Dream game and say that video games aren't art. Like
I'd like to think that Quantic Dream and David Cage's games, or sorry, David Cage. I don't know how the French say David, but these are interactive dramas more so than they are traditional video games, and that's good. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. They're definitely different than your normal games, and so Beyond Two Souls is coming out. I've heard mixed reviews, very mixed reviews. So if you're interested, go ahead and look up reviews and see if you guys are interested or not. Beyond Two Souls. Sorry, we didn't even really mention Beyond Two Souls is it'll be a remaster or just a port from the PlayStation 3 game by the same people that made Heavy Rain, and Heavy Rain was a huge deal. Heavy Rain will be coming out next year. I will definitely be getting my hands on that. I always say that for remakes and remasters and ports and stuff like that, which, by the way, we talked about on episode 5 if you did not check that out already. But yeah, I always say I'm going to get them and then never do. But just because I have too many games. I think remakes, remasters, and that kind of stuff are good gifts. Like for Christmas, I may or may not get you Darksiders 2 because I think you should play it. And you'll play it if I just get it for you. But otherwise, if you have to buy it, you probably won't buy it. So I think that's a anyway.
Again, Fallout 4, Black Hole. It's a horrible existence.
We'll see. People say that for a lot of games. Like people said that for Metal Gear, and now everybody's pretty much done playing it. They beat it and they're done. So we'll see.
Anyway, eventually.
Right. So Beyond Two Souls, that's one. The next one, which is kind of just a dual thing here, the complete edition of Bloodborne is coming out along with Bloodborne: The Old Hunters. For those that love Bloodborne, for those that love everything Studio Japan or Japan Studio? Japan Studio? Japan?
That's a very good question.
Japan Studio. Anyway, everyone that loves Dark Souls or the Souls series, starting with Demon Souls, for those true Souls fans, for those true PlayStation fanboys out there that started with Demon Souls like me, yeah, because I'm cool and I'm hipster and I'm awesome. The funny thing is I'm not joking, but I'm also joking at the same time. So those that love the Souls series or just love Bloodborne, maybe you guys played it. There is a big, large DLC coming out. One of the biggest games of the year gets bigger as the Old Hunters DLC comes to Bloodborne. That's what it says on the thing. And there's also a complete edition coming out as well. So for those that haven't gotten Bloodborne at all, you can now pick up the complete edition. I may or may not get it. Probably won't, unless I go out for Black Friday and I find it really cheap and then I buy it and then I never play it. Yep.
I'll buy the expansion. Definitely, because I love Bloodborne. I don't have it with me, but I got this exclusive drawstring bag that only certain retailers can grab, only certain employees can grab. It's really cool. All it is the logo, but it's a really, really, really nice bag.
Gotcha. Well, there is one more other game that is coming out, and I have no idea what it is. It is a horror episodic kickstarted game called One Final Breath. Survival horror returns in Dark Day Interactive's Dark Day Interactive's latest title, One Final Breath. Explore the halls of the abandoned St. Mary's boarding school in search of your daughter. Insert your daughter. That's what it says on the thing. Of course, this boarding school. Yeah, insert your daughter. That's weird. Of course, this boarding school is no ordinary location. It holds a dark past. So anyway, it looks like a first person running around as a girl's father, and you're looking to find her, and it's all scary and stuff. So if you're into scary games, which scary games are always fun to play with another person, or maybe just by yourself, if that's cool too.
The scariest thing that I think about that game so far is someone needs to spell check that.
Oh, the scariest thing is your grammar. Or your spelling.
You know what game sucks? Yeah, Moldy Peaches. That's going to be a thing eventually.
You know what game sucks? When people don't spell stuff. They're right. Oh, wait a second. That's not a game. Oh
yeah, quick anecdote. Fallout 4 subtitle used the wrong your, and I screenshot it, and I'm going to be sending that to Todd Howard very soon.
Awkward.
It doesn't come uncomfortable.
It doesn't come up in spell check. It only comes up in grammar check if you have that up. Anyway, So those are all the releases. Only 3 games. Not super exciting, but Beyond Two Souls. For those that are interested in Ellen Page, she's actually the main character in this game. Not Ellen Page herself, but she's the one that does the acting and voice acting. Bloodborne expansion. That's a big deal. And then One Final Breath, some random game we never heard of. But next week there should be some more. So get ready. So okay, that's enough for the releases. That was fun. Now it's time for I'm actually gonna skip we were gonna go through ratings for Fallout, Call of Duty, and the new Star Wars games. Actually, you want to go over them real quick?
Just real quickly, because
real quick. I don't want to waste too much time. These videos can go pretty long.
Some of these are ridiculous.
Yeah, we won't spend too much time, but go ahead and go to www.metacritic.com for those that are interested. Go ahead and click games, click PlayStation 4, because that's usually what we're looking at. We're not necessarily looking at any other version. And funny, because the 3 games that are right there, smack dab front page, is Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Fallout 4, and Battlefront. We will start with the highest rated game, which is Fallout 4. Fallout 4
Ooh.
has an 87 on Metacritic, which is pretty high. It's very high.
That's very, very high.
I kind of want to check what it is up against a lot of games right now. The top game right now by Metascore is Metal Gear Solid 5.
No surprise there.
Yeah, and then it drops down. It's not too low. It's the same level as NBA 2K16, which is not surprising. Tales of the Borderlands, which is kind of surprising.
That's a game of the year contender.
Yeah, it's doing quite well. It's doing quite well. But its user score is 6.4, and I'm assuming that this is because, granted, it does have a ton of positive reviews, 398 positive reviews, and only 58 mixed reviews, but it has a contending 146 negative reviews. So about a third of that, or a fourth of it, or whatever, third. It's definitely pulling that down a lot, and I'm assuming it's because of all the bugs. But that's a conversation for another time, maybe later in this.
I skimmed through them the other day after hearing it about a podcast. In traditional with a game that's extremely hyped or a very long awaited game, people just like to bomb it to troll or things, or to really counteract the hype to find one thing they don't like about it after an hour of play. But that's a conversation for a whole other time. But again, it's why we also don't rely on numbers to review our games. It's why me and Chengier like to think about our prices. So.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Not a perfect game, but it is a $60 game.
I have not played it, so I can't tell you that. The next one is we have talked about this already, so quickly go over this. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 got an 81. That's again a very good score. Its user score is 4.6 because of the huge divisive nature of it, so that is very low. Just putting that out there, that's in the red comparatively to its green Metascore. So again, Metacritic.com. Go ahead and click games, click PS4, and you guys will see this information as well. Don't want to spend too much time on that. Star Wars is the really interesting one, and that's because they're both in the yellow. Metacritic score.
I haven't checked yet.
Yeah, Metacritic score at 73. Which is fine. It's good. That's a good game.
That's good. That's a good
and user score at 5.4, which even though that may sound really bad, it is in the yellow, and I think that's important to note. And
5.6, that just means it's an average game.
5.4
is average.
5.4, right. Right. But again, you have to kind of take the ratings with how it's being rated. And so, for example, the 73 is interesting because, that's a good game. The problem is, should Battlefront really just be a good game? Again, a conversation for another time, but it's interesting that this really hyped game that costs so much money to buy only has a 73. One of the reasons I bought Black Ops 3 before I bought Battlefront is because Black Ops 3 had a higher rating. People seem to be enjoying it more, and I know a lot more people that are playing it, and Battlefront just seemed to be okay. A lot of people were saying, I enjoy the game, it's good, but I don't know if it's great, and I think that may be a bit of an issue. But good news is that we apparently may see a Battlefront 2 sometime soon. But speaking of news, there is a couple of different things that I want to talk about before we get into the topic that we are going to talk about today.
Would this be any sort of Deus Ex news, perhaps?
Part of it. There are a couple different things here. Quickly. News number one, headline. Sony confirms PS2 emulation is coming to PS4.
Holy crap! Yeah, that was huge. That was gigantic.
So it's
that's like 1,500 games, first of all.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I wasn't super interested in this. I'm interested because, okay, great, there's PS2 emulation, and I was like, wait a second, what does that mean? Because does that mean I can take my PS2 disc and put it in? And then I was thinking, I read more into it, and a lot of people are just saying, no, this is the PS2 emulation that exists on PS3, which is just the fact that the PlayStation 4 can play PS2 games, meaning all of the games that you bought on your PS3 or you downloaded that were PS2 titles, you can now play. And so it's interesting. This emulation literally just means that you can play PS2 files on your PlayStation 4, which means maybe we'll be able to use discs, maybe we'll be able to get downloaded copies. Who knows what that means? It is a big deal.
I'll tell you what this means, though. I think that we're one step closer to also getting PS3 games digitally back onto the ecospace, because it makes no sense for you to have all those classics still in the PS3 store, not be able to play them on PS4 on a lot stronger hardware that will be easily sustainable for emulation. That makes no sense.
I hate to say it to you, but that's not necessarily true.
Really?
PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 are different architectures, and that's really the whole point. Is that the PlayStation 4 is closer to a PC architecture comparatively to the PlayStation 3, which has this crazy cell processing architecture that's extremely powerful but really complicated and confusing. And to emulate that on a PlayStation 4, which PC owners haven't even figured out how to do. If you go ahead and Google PlayStation 3 emulator, which I'm going to do right now, PS3.
Yeah, while you're looking that up, I can definitely see what you're saying because developers had an extremely difficult time like porting anything to the PlayStation 3. Like in 2011 when Skyrim came out, that was easily the worst port for Skyrim, just all the crashes and stuff like that. It's why a lot of third-party games were preferable on Xbox 360 just because everything ran smoother. Like the architecture was extremely intimidating to all these developers that were like, "This, I don't understand how to put my game onto this," because the Xbox 360 it's very comparable to PCs because obviously it's Microsoft, so like the architecture is extremely similar, so the ports are a lot easier. But like the PS3 was a whole that was just a disaster. I'm sure we'll talk about that on another episode.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to go too far into it, but PlayStation 3 emulator, brand new RPCS3. They're literally just building it. It's open source right now, like usual, and it's just getting started. So it's not comparatively to PS2, which has a solid emulator that you can basically play any PS2 game that you want. And the fact that PC just open source enthusiasts made it, Sony's phenomenal engineers can definitely put that into the PlayStation 4 with a PC architecture. But PlayStation 3, I think their answer to that is PlayStation Now. With PlayStation Now, you can play PlayStation 3 games if you want. But for
explain to our viewers, by the way, like what it means to be open source, because some people might be confused as to what that means.
Yeah. So quick aside, if you guys watched our VR episode, which was episode 3? Is that right? I don't remember.
I think so. Yeah, it was early on.
But yeah, if you watched our VR episode, I talked a little bit about open source, basically just meaning that people can contribute and see what someone's building, whether that's development, like you're developing code, you can see all of the code and you can take that code and develop your own thing with it, kind of like royalty-free music and things like that. For those YouTube people out there who maybe are using royalty-free music, or if maybe you make music at all, royalty-free information or stuff. In terms of VR, we talked about OSVR, which is open source VR by Razer, I think it was. I can't remember. But they had an open source VR headset that people could see the schematics of and change and do whatever they wanted with. So just saying this project here, PlayStation 3 emulation is an open source project that some people got a hold of and are now doing. But anyway, this is interesting. It's news. Sony confirms PS2 emulation coming to PS4. We'll see where that goes and how it will happen. It wasn't officially announced. Somebody seems like they messed up and leaked the information on accident. So we'll see how that goes. Next piece of news is, like we had mentioned, actually, Beyond Two Souls releasing on PS4 November 24th. This came out of nowhere, literally. I looked at the releases. Yeah, I looked at the releases a couple days ago, and it wasn't there. And then I randomly looked at some news, and bam, there it was. So that was very interesting.
It's weird they didn't announce the port when they were talking about the new David Cage game, the Detroit Become Human one at the reveal.
Yeah, so like they mentioned, they're like it had been leaked like fairly significantly. Like they leaked the fact that that was coming out, or not they, but it was leaked that was coming out, and Heavy Rain. So maybe they just ignored it and let the internet take storm. But yeah, who knows? But the next piece of information sucks, but it's also kind of reminded me is that there is a delay for Deus Ex Human Revolution is the old one. Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and it has been delayed to August 2016.
That is a big delay. You mean the way how we were divided by your weird pre-order unlock thing?
I love Deus Ex. I love Deus Ex Human Revolution. If you haven't played it, you should try and find some way to get your hands on it and play it, whether through PlayStation Now or buying the old version of it or something like that. But I really, really love, or PC. PC, it's really cheap right now, and it only gets cheaper. So, but yeah.
It's definitely an intense RPG, so expect a wall to climb in order to really get into an understanding of the game itself.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, if you like sci-fi, stuff that is pretty story driven, I think you'll enjoy it. The RPG elements, I don't think are super, super intense. I mean, you're just role playing as one guy, and you just But anyway, I definitely check it out. At least look at reviews or watch videos on it. It's awesome. And the new one looked really, really cool, but it is being pushed back to August 2016, which is never a huge. I mean, it sucks, but it's also great because that means they're spending more time with the game. And I can only imagine if they had spent a little bit, another year, never had announced Fallout, let Fallout ride for another year and fixed it. A lot of bugs wouldn't be in it, but. It's a conversation for another time. Just know that Deus Ex Mankind Divided is delayed. The next piece of information I think is very interesting.
Afro Samurai 2 being pulled.
No, definitely don't care about that. The first game was cool, but I just don't really think that, Anyway, Naughty Dog has, quote, at least one, maybe two games left in the console generation, maybe more, quote. I think that's interesting. I think that's very, very interesting. So how long
would be like the last console? Like I don't
So
see
when
like
did
a PS5 in my future.
When did PlayStation 4 come out?
It's 2 years now. We're going on 2 years.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm asking you. You're the one that knows this kind of stuff. 2 years? Let's go with 2 years.
We're definitely approaching 2 years now.
All right. Well, if it's 2 years, we've definitely. How old is PS4? It's been 2 years. I'm fairly certain it's been 2 years. Oh, nice. It literally has been 2 years. A couple days ago. Surprised there wasn't like a big deal about this. November 15th. It was 2 years ago, which makes sense because
launch day, dude. I worked the PS4 launch. And I remember that was insane.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so 2 years old. How old was the life cycle of PlayStation 3 before the PlayStation 4 came out? So technically, the life cycle is still 6 or 7. Okay, I'm fairly certain it's 7. Again, something I can check up. 3 came out. Came out 2006. So holy crap, it's gonna be 10 years old. It's gonna be 10 years old. November 11th. November 11th. This time next year, it'll have been 10 years old. So right now, it's a 9-year-old life cycle. Wow, because it's not dead yet. They still technically make them. So that's a big
Welcome
deal.
To episode 32, where we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the PlayStation 3.
I love the PlayStation 3. Dude. I love the PlayStation 3. But anyway, so how many games did they come out within 7 years? They came out with Uncharted 1, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, and The Last of Us,
of course.
So that's 4 games. 4 games. And we're already two years in, right? And they have 1 game kind of, 2 games kind of. Well, they didn't really do those though. They technically did the remaster or the
Bluepoint did that.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Last of Us. They did technically push over Last of Us.
Remaster.
Right, but they didn't do. They did work with Bluepoint for Uncharted, but we have Uncharted 4.
So we'll give them half of 1.
Fine. We get Uncharted. We do have Uncharted 4. We have probably, and that's aside from these at least 1 more, maybe 2 more, maybe more. That's what the headline was. So we've got Last of Us, probably another Last of Us.
Yeah, Last of Us 2 and probably just something new.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking another title, a new IP.
I think that's fine. Like, I love the idea that like if they're going to be taking their time because Naughty Dog has they never mess up. They never do. They are probably the best developer in gaming right now. They still hold that title pretty confidently, and I'm sure Uncharted 4 is going to blow everyone away. But I love this statement because I'm like, okay, I don't need like 3 or 4 games from you guys. If I can have 2 masterpieces on the PS4, like I'll wait a whatever amount of time because it's always worth it. Always worth it.
Yeah, just don't remind me, right? I think that's one of the biggest.
I promise.
Well, not you. I'm just saying, like, it's terrible when they're like, we have a new game, and you're like, and you're like, what's the game? And they're like, I'm not telling you. And it's like, why? But yeah, I think
it's like plucking a guitar, and then like you go up and see older Ellie like look around and turn to the screen to like a mob of policemen. So that concept art that was leaked like a couple years ago.
Right.
How dope was that? Sorry, I'm done.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, so didn't want to spend too much time on that. Just an interesting conversation that someone had with Naughty Dog, and they had mentioned that. We have 3 more things. Go through this quickly. Don't want to spend 30 minutes on all of this stuff, but Michael Pachter, who is a consultant in the industry, the video game industry, he does a lot of predictions. He works for a lot of video game companies and helps them find numbers and things like that. And he's a pretty big deal. Even though his public predictions can sometimes be way off base, sometimes they're right. Him being a consultant in the industry is a pretty large deal, and I mean I'm sure they pay him. They've been paying him. I'm sure he has very insightful information, and so Michael Pachter predicts that PlayStation VR and Oculus will succeed. PlayStation 4 hardware, humongous value for VR. Quick thoughts on this? Quick thoughts? 5 seconds? 5 seconds or less? Just kidding.
I was really I was worried about VR because I know that you and I will buy it, but what does that mean for like the casual market, right? And those who go to GameStop and like have a GameStop representative go be like, hey, do you know about PlayStation VR? Like, did you know that this is going to be this price and that, and you'll be able to do all these sorts of things? I didn't know like really how like the casual market would really gauge it, because they're like, I pictured it would be like a Wii U scenario. You know what I mean? What is the Wii U? Is it just the gamepad? Is it just like an attachment? Is this a new console? So I imagine there is going to be this little bit of confusion, but I didn't know if it would sell well at all, because I'm thinking PlayStation Move. I'm thinking PlayStation Move, and I'm thinking Wii U. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about VR before. Again, I don't want to dive too deep into it, like always. But I was thinking that this is a little more clear. PlayStation Move, why? What is that? Why is it saying that? I already have a Wii. Don't care.
Oh, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. The same thing with Wii U, right? Like, I don't get it. What is it? I have a Wii. But PlayStation VR is literally like, well, PlayStation virtual reality. I don't have VR. This is going to be it. And that's what Pachter says is that...
You're going to drop some of your Andy House on me right now?
This is PlayStation VR. You don't have VR. This is it. You're going to buy this. This is PlayStation. This.
Oh, no. Shuhei is going to be like, this is PlayStation VR. But then a year later, the next
is PlayStation.
PlayStation VR has sold 2 billion units in 1 month.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I think PlayStation VR will do well. Like Pachter says, is that the Oculus won't be the go-to VR, because the Oculus is for PC, and PC, not everybody owns a PC anymore. Most people own laptops, and the laptops won't run the Oculus. The Oculus is one unit that plugs into the PC, and you have to have a PC that can run it. I'm not even sure that my PC can run it, and I have a fairly decent PC. And then in terms
about this the other day, because you have the security of having a console, having an attachment that will work because it was built for that. You don't need to interchange parts. You don't need to interchange any sort of like specs within your console. That's why I love having a PlayStation 4. So you're completely right. People look at PlayStation VR, they see it at base value because they also have that brand association, and it's right there in the title. PlayStation virtual reality. I get it. Oculus, what is that? It runs on my laptop, but it comes with an Xbox One controller. What does this mean? So I guess I could totally see that succeeding.
Yep. So we'll see how that goes. Next thing is these are 2 things that I just really am excited about. So personal news. One, if you guys remember when we talked about last episode, remakes and all of this stuff, one of the sequels/remakes that I would love to see on PlayStation is Valkyria Chronicles, excuse me. Valkyria Chronicles.
How freaky is that?
So weird. I was like, PlayStation 3, Valkyria Chronicles. There wasn't even trophies for it. What the freak? One of my favorite games. And then it was all over the place in Japan for PSP, and there was never any. You never heard of it here back in the US, and that was it. Well, 2 things. One, Valkyria Chronicles remake or re-release or remaster for the PlayStation 4. I will be getting that game. I will play that game because I want the trophies, and I beat that game twice, and there were 0 trophies. By the way, we are definitely going to record an episode about trophies because I have things to say. Anyway, the next thing is that there is a new game, a sequel, which is Valkyria Azure Revolution. Valkyria Azure Revolution.
Oh my god, this is getting into like the Kingdom Hearts territory of dumb names, but I am amped. Because I did enjoy my short time that I had with Valkyria Chronicles.
Yes. Yes, I love that game. Look it up, guys. Seriously, just go on Google, type in Valkyria Chronicles. You'll find it. I swear, it's on Steam for those that are interested in maybe getting some achievements. But it is a phenomenal game. It sold a ton of units when it went to Steam because those guys knew that it was a phenomenal game on PlayStation 3.
Big cult following.
Yeah, I am so excited. But anyway, not only that, there was some more news for another game that I'm extremely excited about that we will also be talking about later. And the headline was, you can create up to 4 characters on a single account in Tom Clancy's The Division. Woo!
Good.
Tom Clancy's The Division, an open-world third-person shooter RPG adventure online game. Speaking of online games... Just kidding. Speaking of open world games.
Oh, you almost had it.
That was close, I know. That was close. Open world games. That's what today's podcast is all about. GearCast. A Chain Gear gaming podcast all about video games, mostly about PlayStation, where me and my friend Vampire Peaches comes here to talk about a whole bunch of random stuff, gaming. It's awesome. And today we are here to talk about open world games. What is an open world game? That is so confusing. It doesn't make any sense. Open world game, first thing that probably comes to your mind is maybe GTA or Grand Theft Auto or Elder Scrolls, like Oblivion, Skyrim, 2 of my favorite games all time. Or maybe Fallout 4. Or maybe Far Cry 4. Phantom Pain, otherwise known as MGS5, otherwise known as MGSV, otherwise known as Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. A whole bunch of games that kind of fit into
Metal Gear
this.
Solid 5: The Phantom Pain Tactical Espionage Operations.
Well, that's their slogan. That's not part of the title. Anyway.
It's in the box.
That's fine. There are tons of things on the box. You flip it over, 2-player game, online experience. Like, you just keep going. But yeah, there are tons of open world games, right? And what does that really mean? So I've got a couple different games here just to kind of go through them. And I think this will kind of help us kind of narrow down what an open world game is. And that's because there are open world RPGs, for example, like we said, Fallout 4 or Oblivion and Skyrim. But then would you say that Grand Theft Auto is an open world RPG? Not necessarily. It's an open world game, though, right?
It's an open world crime simulator. I think crime simulator has definitely become a genre.
Sure, we could say that. I don't know if I'd say it's a crime simulator. I would say Payday is a crime simulator, which is replayable.
It's action adventure with the other things that no one else ever rated.
Yeah, I mean, most people say that it's an open world game, right? And I think that is becoming this phrase that just goes along a lot of things. So here's a list: GTA, Red Dead Redemption. I would say most of the games that Rockstar makes are open world. LA Noire was open world. For those that remember, Midnight Club, a racing game, a very very arcadey racing game. All of
Rockstar Tennis.
Is that real?
That's real, yeah.
What the heck? I've never heard of that.
They just took their engine and did a table tennis game. I'm not kidding. Look this up.
That is really random. Well, then there's Bethesda that pretty much also only exclusively makes open world games, including MMOs like the ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. But like I said, all of the Elder Scrolls games were open world. You're on to walk around in Oblivion and Skyrim, all of the Fallouts, besides maybe some of the more tactical ones in the beginning. I'm not 100% sure.
So 3 New Vegas and 4.
Yeah. I don't know about 2 and 1 or tactics, stuff like that. I'm just not sure. But also another one is Minecraft. This is open world, very new, procedurally generated, right? So sometimes we can have an open world and they're procedurally generated, basically just meaning you place one thing and the world starts to create itself through a specific amount of procedures, basically saying like, because this is here, let's do this. And there's a lot of random generation involved, but it's not completely random. And then MGS5, also an open world a tactical espionage game, right? It's open world. Not always open world when you're in your base, but you go out into these open world maps. The whole thing is an open world, but these maps are open world and you can kind of do whatever you want there. Just Cause 2, Just Cause 3. Yes, I do have Witcher 3 on here as well, an open world RPG, obviously. One that I think a lot of us, you and I both probably skip, but since the first one all the way up till the third one or the third installment is Infamous. Infamous 1, Infamous 2, and Infamous Second Son is an open world game. It's an open world action adventure where you run around as a guy that shoots powers out of his hands, and that is open world.
Or her hands.
Right, depending on the character you're playing as at the time. Fetch, love Fetch, she's phenomenal. But yeah,
There was no platinum for that game. I was so mad.
Well, it was a standalone, it wasn't a game.
I know, but I wanted the platinum. I worked so hard. And by so hard, I mean not at all.
No. So
First Light had a platinum, which I got.
Yeah, well, First Light was awesome, and like I don't know if
Festival of Love was not good. Let's be honest.
No, weird. Anyway, so all the Far Cries, right? Far Cry 1, 2, and 3 and 4. Granted, 1 and 2 are terrible, but at least I think they're terrible. But 3 and 4, phenomenal games. Both have both open
Very
world
games.
Destiny
I hope
is
Primal's
open world
big too.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, Primal, I'm sure, is going to be Far Cry Primal. Will also probably be open world. I can't imagine that's not. Destiny, that's an open world game.
Yes.
MMOs, the majority, actually, I don't know any MMOs that aren't open world, even though they're instanced sometimes. There's normally a hub, and then you can kind of go out into a specific instance, but usually you can come back and forth, otherwise known as being open. Assassin's Creed, open world. Saints Row, open world. Batman, the Arkham series, open world.
Oh, yes.
Most racers are open world, like Paradise City, like Burnout, the Burnout series. Most of the new Need for Speeds, the older Need for Speeds were not always open world, but the newer ones, definitely all of those are open world. Here's some. Gravity Rush, good point. Gravity Rush Vita, phenomenal game. Love that game.
We'll be getting that remaster.
Best game on the Vita, I would say. One of the best games on the Vita. Persona 4 probably gets that title, but one of the best games on the Vita. Persona 4, that's an open world game. You can go wherever you want in that game. Sure, like it gives you this kind of linear corridor thing that you have to go through, but it's open world. Here are some that maybe you didn't think about. Pokemon. All Pokemon games are open world. Mario 64, open world. Mario
64, Super Mario Sunshine.
Yep. Legend of Zelda. Every single Legend of Zelda game from the beginning of time was open world. You even from the very, very original ones where you're going around the map, open world. And so these are all open world games. A ton of them. I hope that kind of makes sense of how they're open world. Not all of them are the same. But here's really the question that I want to ask you, Peaches, and then, of course, I'll dive into it a little bit. And for the viewers as well in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about open world games? I know you love open world games. I love open world games, but we feel a little bit differently about them. Peaches, why don't you go first? Tell me how you feel generally about open world games.
Well, we can't really call them a genre anymore because I feel like now it's just like a type of game. Like genres, you can really mitigate that to like horror, action, adventure, or like that sort of thing, right? But I feel like it's just a type of game now, but they're my favorite type of game, but I don't like what they've become recently. Like, so how everything was just like a shooter like 5 years ago? Well, everything's like an open world game now. So what you do is that you make a big map with a lot of things to do, throw the player in there, make tack on a little bit of like RPG elements to level up your character, and boom, you have a game that makes the consumer feel as though they put money in it and now they're getting a lot of stuff. But more often than not, with these past 2 years, a lot of stuff is just a lot of repeated stuff, and it's not really like much of anything of value. So like Assassin's Creed, gigantic, beautiful world that like I love to run and jump through, but the missions, they're so boring. They are beyond the scale of boring and repetitive. So recently they've been trying to revamp the formula, but they're inching too much. I think they just need to jump instead of just like playing it safe every single year. Just come on. So what does an open world game mean to me? To me, I want it to be a place that I don't want to leave. I want it to be a place that I want to completely get lost in. So I put literally 700 hours into Skyrim. That is the first game that I platinumed. I know. Don't look at me like that. Don't you judge me.
Judgment.
We don't judge on the GearCast unless you like Sonic Adventure 2.
Awkward.
So
I love Sonic Adventure Battle too.
Anyway, so like I want it to be something that means to me personally, you know what I mean? Like I do love, as much as I love the Phantom Pain, like Snake is a character that I've known for years and years and years, right? Like I have been through all of his adventures, but he is an established character. I want to make my own story in an open world game. Sure, like you have these awesome, like you can go through amazing narratives and amazing progression, like with the original Infamous, which is our favorite Infamous game. Like Like, were we agree on that? Was it you that said, like, I'm pretty sure I'm not in the minority when I say that I like one better than two.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I was the one that spearheaded that for us, at least. I was like, dude, Infamous 1's way better. And you were like, no, what? Dude, I love Infamous 2.
Yeah,
and I was
you
like,
definitely
no.
curved me to that method of thinking.
The,
And
the story's all
campy.
campy and stuff. He's like, I'm going to make penis jokes, and I think I'm cool. And all of a sudden, my wife died, and I never talk about it, ever.
Damn near blew my hand off. I remember that line a lot. Anyway, so like you can have these established characters, but what an open world game means to me, what I want it to be, is that I want to make my mark on a beautiful world that I feel as though actually exists. So Grand Theft Auto, cool. Like, it's fun. I like these characters. They're funny. I don't know, with Far Cry 3, beautiful, incredibly diverse world to explore with all kinds of beautiful wildlife and stuff like that. But I'd much rather play an Elder Scrolls game. I'd much rather play Fallout, where I can make my character from the ground up to cater to any sort of playstyle that I want. And that's where my real role-playing like interest comes in, right? So I want to make all kinds of characters that play through their own stories that go on in my head, and I'll play like certain ways. So where people like to play as like take open world games and make them like a playground or like a sandbox, like I need a definitive like role-playing experience for my open world games. But overall, they're just my favorite type of game.
Okay, all right. I think that was good. That was good information. I think that was good. So with that, I think I could kind of say that you really like, first of all, open world games and RPG, open world RPG. And when I say RPG, I mean role-playing game. I don't necessarily mean the words role-playing game have really been construed into
rocket propelled grenades.
Yeah, or rocket propelled grenades, that works too. But I feel like when people say RPG, a lot of people will say RPG elements. This is a shooter with RPG elements. But RPG literally means role-playing. And you like open role playing where you create your own character. I know you love character customization. We were just talking about the other day. We played a lot of Soul Calibur, and you would sit there for hours making characters just for me. Like, I was like, dude, can you make this? You're like, yeah, sure. You just make it, and we'd have it. And
that that was on itself, character customization.
Yeah. So I think, character customization, open world, RPG, you get to kind of do whatever you want. But as long as there's this, a central idea, you're able to continually have this, not super sandboxy, but you can live inside that world. And I think I like that. That makes sense. But you and I are a little bit different in this aspect. I like open world games. I don't love open world games, but I like open world games. I like open world games where there's narrative and guidance. For example, Infamous 1 and Infamous Second Son, I love those games. If you have a PS4 and you haven't played Infamous Second Son, you're missing out. And I think that the open world aspect, so you really should get it. I'm sure it's inexpensive now, probably $30 or something. Definitely go get it.
It's between like 15 and 20 now.
I don't know about that. The PlayStation 3 still exists, and they still sell PlayStation 3 games, which means hitting like $15-20 territory on a very well-made AAA game. I can't imagine it's that cheap. It might be. You should check it. You should look. But phenomenal game, open world, meaning I can go around this world and traverse it in a way that doesn't make me bored, and I can just kind of do whatever. But there's a narrative. There is a mission. It's telling me to go there. It's telling me to play it. I don't have to, but the narrative is there. I'm playing as a character that I care about. 18. Wow, that's surprising. Oh, is 18 at GameStop used or something?
$17.99 used, $19.99 new.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of GameStop, and I would never recommend someone to buy a used game. So probably I'm gonna guess either $20 or $25 on, probably $20 on PlayStation Network. You should check that as well. But yeah, I like RPG elements, like when you have that, those like stats, and you can build your character the way you want, especially when the character is guided. So The Witcher, for example, I still have not played it yet because I'm afraid to get it and dive all of my life into it. But
dude, I was afraid, like, exploring that game. Like, it's probably one of the biggest worlds that I've played in.
Yeah, I mean, I have a problem now with MGS5. I'm finally at 30%, and the majority of my time is looking at my stuff. I'm literally just looking at it because it's a guided journey. It's not my character. It's a guy that's already defined, and I get to watch his story. One of my favorite games of all time, as you guys know, is Last of Us. It's not an open world game. It has open world maps when you're traversing through them at a specific point, but it's not open world. But it's because of the narrative that it's my favorite game. And of course, the mixture
It's about
of
as open as Uncharted is.
Well, I would disagree with that. I would say the old Uncharted are extremely linear. 1 through 3 are all very linear. They're all Uncharted 4 is highly takes a lot of cues from Last of Us with its open there's a whole bunch of enemies and you can go in guns blazing or you can sneak around them. You could go through and stealth kill them all. In Uncharted, here's the end, and you have to shoot through them all, and you get there. I wouldn't. Uncharted 4, on the other hand, if you watch the original gameplay from E3, it shows him going all these different ways to kill them all, sneaking past some of them, and I think that it takes some cues from there, and that's why I think Uncharted 4 is going to be one of my favorite games of 2016. But I think since we mentioned gameplay, there's a lot of open world games that have been sacrificing gameplay for the open world aspect.
Yes.
I loved Just Cause 2, but it wasn't necessarily a great game. It was just fun, which is why it's not one of my favorite games. I'll be getting Just Cause 3, which is an open world sandbox game. It's definitely sandbox where you run around and blow up whatever and drive whatever, steal whatever. You're a good guy, technically, liberating a place, but it's open world sandbox. I'm not a huge sandbox fan. I don't like it when there's not a ton, or I don't like it when there's too much going on, but I don't like it when there's nothing going on. There's got to be stuff happening,
I think I could bring up a question for you. So, which do you prefer? Which one would you rather take? Would you rather take something like an Elder Scrolls game that's a wandering game, or would you rather take something like to really create a distinction? A sandbox is a game where the game gives you a bunch of tools for you to do whatever the hell you want. Like Minecraft is the perfect sandbox game. Literally the perfect sandbox game. You take materials, you change the world how you see fit. Where versus something like Elder Scrolls, where you're going to be wandering from place to place. I don't know. I do agree with you in the sense that I can see why you like more not linear, but more narrative, but more
guided.
Yeah, because it's not narrative focused. Because all these games are narrative focused. But yeah, more of a guided experience.
Besides Minecraft.
Besides Minecraft,
Fallout. There's one of the reasons I really liked Oblivion and Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls series, more than Fallout, is because Fallout felt too open. I remember I got out of the vault in Fallout 3, and I was like, "Where am I going? What's happening?"
That's my favorite moment.
Nothing happened. Nothing. It was just like, meh. And I was like, what's going on? When I played Oblivion, and you first get out of the cell, there's an island with some people on it, and I go over there, and then while I'm going, it's
big white pillars, and there's a little tent and stuff. I remember that.
Yep, and there's a couple people over there, and then I know exactly where I'm going because the comes up, and it's like, go this way. Actually, I think in Oblivion it was like, I don't remember what the sound was. In Skyrim it's it's this deep drum thing, but they are guiding you enough. Where Fallout, it felt a little too open for me. But anyway, I do really, really, really like and love a lot of open world games. But as you can see, the Peaches and I do have different interests when it comes to open world games. But yeah, I don't like it when there's too much going on. But the number one thing I think for Fallout, for open world games, for both of us, I think we can both agree on is lore. If there's lore in the world,
yes.
I don't want to go too far into specific games yet because we will talk about that. I know we already mentioned a lot of them, but I don't want to go too far into that. But I think the thing that we can both agree on is lore is really important. And talking about lore, I actually do want to get into pros and cons of open world games. That way we can be a bit more objective and talk. Sure, it's still opinions, but instead of just saying, "Oh, these are my feelings," let's focus a little bit on pros and cons. I'm going to go first, just because we just mentioned lore, and I think one of the pros is that you have this open world that you can just inject with lore, and you don't have to shove the lore down someone's throat. Like, here's the narrative, here's the lore, enjoy it now. Like, I feel like Mass Effect does that a little bit. They're like, "Yup, you're in the world, take it. This is the world." Yeah,
comparatively with Destiny, that doesn't do that enough.
Right. Destiny is, I think, a terrible open world game in terms of lore. They have all of this lore, and they were like, "We want you to go online and go to this website, sign up, and then look at these grimoire cards that you have to read." And I went through Oblivion and never read a single book. But if you want to, Right. If you want to, you can. But just walking around in the world of Oblivion, in the world of Tamriel, and in the Cyrodiil, in Cyrodiil, you're able to walk around and just learn things just by taking it all in. And I think that it's such a lore-heavy world, and that's one of the pros is that you can throw in a whole bunch of lore and not shove it down my throat. And
It's
I think
what we call organic storytelling, right? Like just today, like I was exploring through like this big piece of like a wasteland, like right near where the bombs fell in Boston. So I'm in this big irradiated like literally like everything's dead. So I find the ruins of another vault. And so I'm like, I can't wait to go into this corpse of a vault where people lived, find out what experiments were taking place there, and just from different sorts of bodies placed around the world, different terminals that I can read and stuff. It's not part of the narrative whatsoever. It's not even a part of a quest, but I can absorb the story just because of how like beautifully detailed everything is and how like naturally pulling this narrative is just by going through this place. Like Bethesda does it like the best in my opinion.
Yeah. And on the same path, or talking about the same kind of subject about story, narrative, even though you and I like both different things, like I like more guided things, you like it way more free. And I think even with that, another pro is that it's your story and your choices. In all of those games that I mentioned, you have choices. You have it's your story, even if it's someone else's story. For example, if we're playing Infamous, it's Cole's story or Delson's story, but I'm making choices, which means when I talk to you about the game, it's my story. I played as Delson. I was Delson. I did those things, and it makes me feel powerful because I got to make those decisions, and it makes a difference. And when I run around the world and I feel like this is my world comparatively to maybe a game like Last of Us, again, even though it's still one of my favorite games, it is different. It doesn't allow you to, it doesn't make you feel like your Joel is your Joel. No, when I played The Last of Us, Joel was Joel, and I played Joel's story. I didn't get to make any decisions. I had to do what Joel told me to do,
as you wanted to at the end.
Right. Even though there were things that I could do, which is why I think, again, it's a perfect game, is because I was able to make decisions as Joel, but it was as Joel. I wasn't Joel, you know what I mean? Or I wasn't making choices that were going to change the whole game. And I think that was really, really interesting. MGS5 does the same thing, right? Like I have a lot more choices. I have a lot of things I can do. I can make Snake my Snake. I can make him wear different things, do different things. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of character things. But, again, that's a conversation for another time. But and I think that that's really cool. And obviously for you, that's a big deal, is making your own story. Is that you'll make a whole another, I never do this. I'll make one character, sink a ton of time into it, feel really attached to that character. You'll make 5 characters. And you'll make one of them, and you'll be like, this one?
I only have 3.
This one's going to be a guy that sings and has a knife and is a murderer. He's a singing murderer.
Look at the idea. I already have an idea of what he's talking about, guys. I'm already planning my next Fallout character because I'm about to. I always have one character that's like my main character that plays through the story, that plays through everything, that has like the idea of how I like to play, which is typically like a thief, right? I'm a career thief in all these Bethesda games, which means I steal everything and I hustle and like I'm filthy rich and you can't see me because you're already dead. So already my next character, I'm planning a femme fatale, high charisma. She's only going to be in like a dress, so she's going to have very high endurance and stuff, but she's going to be a monster, automatic guns and big guns. And she's going to be a very rude, not nice person.
Yeah. I see what I mean. Like, I mean, you already are excited and you're not even playing the game. And I think that's really important. I think another thing
that allows for that in general.
Yeah, and I think that was a problem in Destiny again, is that there was no way for me to really feel like my Titan was mine. Even though they had different gear, we actually had a conversation about this as well the other day, is that everyone had the same gear at one point because, well, the Crested Alpha Lupi was a great piece of armor. And it came out and everybody wore it. And so everybody looked the same. And there wasn't enough customization.
It's what we call, why would we choose anything else syndrome.
Right. Why would I use anything else? The Gjallarhorn is the best heavy weapon in the entire game. Why use any other gun? Well, not anymore, but, at one point, the Suros regime or the Saurus Regiman or whatever. It's literally, I mean, it was the best assault rifle in the entire game. Why use anything else? And it was stuff like that that kind of made you feel like, well, this isn't my character. Like, I'm just playing as a character in this world. I don't feel like I am my Titan. And that a lot of people don't agree with me, but I think that that was one of those things that they could have done better. But it's a pro that you can have, right? It's a pro that exists within the ability to do that within an open world game. Last thing for a pro, obviously there's a ton, but innate replayability. I mean, with an open world, you can make different decisions, and so you can go back and just replay the game. As you mentioned, you're going to make, I'm sure you'll probably make 20 characters by the time I even get Fallout, I mean, I think in terms of even just being able to have choices in general, again, even though it's an innate feature, we had tons of replayability just playing, just being able to create characters in Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur 4, you just made characters, and I kept playing the game. I kept beating the campaign. Why? Because it wasn't the campaign. I think it was just leveling my guys up because they were mine now. They were different. But yeah. So those are the three major things that I had to say about pros. How about you? What are big pros for you within Fallout? Fallout, open world games.
I mean, we can guff on about Fallout all you want.
No. So, like, don't run down Fallout. Open world games.
So my pros have to do with games that actually can do these things. So very specific instances of open world games that I like. Like in the case of Infamous, how fun, I love, you have the opportunity to make traversal really, really fun. Like I remember when like you and I unlocked the ability to grind like with lightning on like train rails in Infamous. We lost our minds. We thought that was just the coolest crap. When we found out how to glide, we lost it. We completely lost it. Or like even with Prototype 2, Prototype, which is a piece of crap game, running up walls and like gliding with blood shooting out of your wrists. That was cool.
Now it's massive. I can run up walls and fly all over the city.
Terrible, buggy, pretentious crap game, but it was fun to run around in. So like I do love games that make traversal a lot of fun. Like if I can if I could fly, forget it. It's over.
You skipped Second Son. One of my favorite things about Second Son is literally the circle button is to travel. Like you press the circle button and you travel. Like you do like a dodge usually, but if you hold it, you continue that motion. And
I had a syndrome of why would you do anything else with the neon run powers? Like why would I upgrade anything else?
Yep.
Because I just want to run up buildings and run up buildings. So traversal, that can be a lot of fun. Awesome. So like screw cars. I'm tired of cars. Give me a cool jet bike. Give me a jet pack. And give me planes to fly. So that I guess I'll go into my cons later when I talk about that. So I love cool traversal. I love being able to explore the world in different sorts of ways. What's another one of the pros? I don't know. I think lore is just extremely important because if you have bad lore, you can't invest yourself. You don't have any context to really get lost into this world. Like Destiny, I felt no attachment to my character whatsoever. What my character was an avatar, a blank slate, a mannequin as to which put pretty stuff in. And I don't like that. I need investment in my character. Comparatively to Snake, where he's there to be an analog for the character. He is an analog to be used to so if you want to stealth in there, cool. You want to use big guns, cool. But Snake will stay the same and you'll customize him forthwith. So again, with that, it's more of an attachment of the character because he's already an established character. That makes more sense. So I love lore. I love that organic storytelling because I mean, as much as I do enjoy The Last of Us, my favorite game of all time, and it's a narrative linear structure that's only there to tell me a single story, I love the feeling of being part of something bigger, right? Does that make any sense? I remember when I first joined the Thieves Guild in Skyrim, and I was just like, this is amazing. The understanding the hierarchy, understanding the past, understanding the entire history of it, and then you're like, oh no, the Thieves Guild quest in Oblivion are better. I'm like, let me have this. Let me have this. Comparatively with all this thick dripping lore, at that moment where you leave the vault, and I think Fallout 4 is leaving the vault moment is even better than 3. When you look up there and your eyes adjust to the light and you see this giant barren landscape for you to explore, I'm like, I can't wait to see what stories I run into and what stories I make myself. Another cool thing is just I don't know, I like armor. I like armor a lot. I like character customization. I love it. I love it so much. Like, you know me, like I'll spend like hours upon hours customizing my characters, and if you let me craft my own stuff, it's over. It's done. Like,
Uh, uh, we might have lost you.
it's
You're there. You're there.
yeah, that creates that player investment, and it's what I like to call like the gameplay circle. I want to keep playing the game, which is fun, to get more stuff, to make myself stronger so I can keep playing the game. If an open world game doesn't have that organic, really good gameplay loop, forget it. It's over. Like with Just Cause 2, I'm like, this place is too damn big. I don't understand. Or like, remember Mercenaries?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like I don't get this. You're like, no, just try it. I'm like, I don't like a helicopter thing. I don't what. But I didn't get into it that much. So again, comparatively, it's different for everyone's experience. But yeah, let me customize my guy. Give me that organic gameplay loop. Give me cool ways to travel. Those are 3 pros.
Oh no, he didn't. Sucker try to play me, but you
Best
never play me.
song ever. I played that on my iPod for like a week straight.
Look up Mercenaries 2 trailer.
But you never paid me, never. Oh no, you didn't.
Anyway, so you mentioned a lot of pros. You mentioned the pros that you did. And I mentioned mine as well. But you mentioned something that was really important, which was you're like, I don't know. You know, it can be a con. You know, you were talking about lore and some stuff like that. And the first con that I have, and I think it's the most important, and to generalize when we talk about pros and cons in general, sometimes it's just bad. Sometimes the games are just bad. For example, replayability I mentioned as a pro, but replayability can be really bad because sometimes
if you have a big game that doesn't play well, what? No, thank you. You know what I mean? You
right,
made this big world, a lot of enemies to fight.
Replay this. right.
If it's not fun to play, why? Again, gameplay loop.
Yeah, and a lot of people feel inhibited by replayability. For example, games like traditional, or not traditional, but more traditional Japanese games have a tendency to have this, put 1 million hours into it, and part of that is by you beating it 7 times. Because, for example, Metal Gear games always, beat it again, beat it in a time limit. All of the like Platinum's games usually beat them, get them on S rank, beat them again, beat it within a specific time limit, and then you unlock all of this stuff. And I sometimes feel like, well, that's not fair because I don't want to. I don't want to play the game over again. I beat it. I should get everything. And that's so putting that replayability sometimes can be a hindrance. But I'm not necessarily saying that it's a con. I think inherently it's a pro because you can have that in there in an open world game, and you can't necessarily have it in other games. Specific things. So the cons is just sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it's too big, like too open and large for its own good. I'll give 2 examples. One is Far Cry 2. Far Cry 2 is extremely large game, but it's so boring. You drive around getting malaria every 5 seconds, and all
what? You're gonna have to explain that to me.
For Far Cry?
Yeah.
Far Cry 2 is just it's so annoying. Yeah, I mean you'd get, if you remember Far Cry 3 or Far Cry 4, you'd get shot or something and you'd pull the bullet out of you or you'd bandage yourself up. Well, you had to keep doing that for other things like malaria and stuff. It's not a big deal. It's just remember it's a bad game. And the problem is that it's just too open. You would just drive and there'd be nothing. There'd be nothing in Oblivion. I don't want to talk about Oblivion too much yet, but it can get too big and not enough stuff. And the cons are almost always in how the game is made. I don't think there's any inherent cons with open world games, but most of the time you'll see that something will take precedent and priority over something else in the game. Instead of making an awesome world that's living and having all these awesome things and adding the awesome gameplay. For example, one of the reasons that I love
better myself.
I mean, one of the things that I love is one of the games is GTA 5, GTA 4, GTA 5. GTA 5. Wow, a lot of fives. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 5. The gunplay is fun. Why? Because they made Max Payne 3, and Max Payne 3's gunplay was awesome. The driving was good, and the driving was good in Midnight Club. So all of the things in GTA 5 were great. Now, once you get into the online play, some things didn't work out so well. You couldn't shoulder swap. Some other stuff was really annoying. I'm not really sure why that happened. But even though they didn't do things perfectly, because it wasn't those games, they put it in a world that was really awesome with an awesome narrative. And so in general, the story mode, mind you, the campaign I'm talking about, of GTA 5 was phenomenal. It was amazing.
Yes.
And I really, really, really enjoyed that because they did it correctly. But in a game like Rage, look up Rage from Bethesda. Bethesda?
Very
I
early
think so.
PS3. Oh no! Oh wait, I was
early.
thinking of Haze. Never mind. I was thinking of Haze. I was like, why are you bringing up Haze?
No.
Rage. That's a perfect example of a
Yeah,
word that's
Rage-
like, what the heck?
Rage is like a weird Mad Max, like Fallout thing where it's all about.
No, it's a Mad Max
vehicles.
ripoff.
Right. Well, right, but because it's a Mad Max ripoff, it also has a lot of parallels to Fallout. It was by Bethesda, so people were like, "Oh, this is like Fallout, but not really." But then it wasn't at all. They got one thing right in Rage, and that was the gameplay. The gunplay was awesome. Vehicle combat was awesome, but the world was terrible. I mean, it was awful. There used to be this thing where me and Phoenix would get together, and I would just have him play games I couldn't play anymore. Still about to get into a thing that I don't want to get into yet. We'll get into it. But I'd play a game, and I wouldn't be able to beat it, and I'd be like, just because I got tired of it or I got annoyed, which is one of the things that was hard for me for open world games. Sometimes they can be too long and too expansive.
So fatigue.
Yeah, fatigue. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good con. Fatigue. How about we go ahead and you let me know what some of the cons that you have, and then we'll go into some other things before we end this episode.
Fatigue is the curse of a bad open world game. I want to feel fatigue because I've been playing this game too much. Fatigue in a sense of like, oh, it's 4:00 in the morning. I should go to bed. Not the kind of, really, I have to clear out another area of these guys with the same weapon that I've been using for the past anything because of the why would I use anything else syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so here's what I hate, and Assassin's Creed does this every single year. Stop littering this giant world with dumb collectibles that don't do anything. Stop it. Like, why the hell do I want to pick up these feathers? Why the hell do I want to get these memory cores? They don't serve. They maybe give you a little bit of XP, but if they're marked on the map, why would I go out of my way to seek them if they're just cluttered? They're cluttered on my mini-map. Stop cluttering my mini-map. Again, Assassin's Creed does this thing where it's like, oh, you want to get these feathers, you want to find all the feathers, here it is. It's right over here. I'm like, you went out of your way to create this gigantic, beautiful recreation of an old city, but rather than like having this like organic sense of like, ooh, if I explore all these areas, I get to like absorb all the city, and I might be able to find collectibles and find cool stuff that I want. You're like, nope, you should go here, 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 because that's where the things are, even though they don't mean anything.
Yeah, so quick note on that is I think it depends. I think collectibles can be done correctly.
Totally.
Infamous 1, I looked for those black shards.
Yeah, perfect. I was clicking L3 like it was my job.
Yeah, but, it wasn't really, the black shards didn't really do anything until the last one. Or maybe they did it in 2, but in the last one...
Like you were expanding how much electricity you could store.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like once you already had max, there was still like 100 more blast shards for you to find just to get the platinum. So it was like, I don't actually remember if there was a platinum or not.
Or dead drops.
Right, or dead drops, right. Which, I mean, okay, fine.
Expand the lore.
Right. But like, in some, I really do think it depends. In Second Son, Infamous Second Son, I loved traversing the world. So it was fine for me to run up buildings and go all over the place and find these things because it was fun. That was fine. I think the problem is when you oversaturate the world with these boring collectibles.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I love collectibles. I love collectibles, but oversaturation with pointless collectibles.
Yeah,
which actually ties into busy work. Mm-hmm. I hate busy work. Okay, so it's different if you're like a part of a clan or part of some sort of faction. Like I'm part of like I'm part of the railroad, which is essentially like an underground railroad for robots in Fallout 4. So I go to an area, I clear a place out so that way people can live in this community, and I can build a community and expands to a whole lot of other things, which could be access to a whole bunch of different items. It's unique. It's intuitive. Like I like the idea of making something bigger and making something grow. Again, Bethesda does these factions perfectly. Whereas, like, it'd be like, okay, assassination mission. I fall into in Assassin's Creed. I'm sorry, I like Assassin's Creed, but there's just things that they do too much. Like, here, go kill this guy. I fall into why would I do anything else syndrome of go up in a tree, shoot the guy in the head. Why would I like? If you give me all these tools but have one good one, like I don't know. But that's I guess that plays into another con. But busy work is what I despise. I don't like grinding in an open world game because it feels though that kind of defeats the purpose. So like Metal Gear Solid 5 is it being one of my favorite games ever. Like even though the grind can lead to like you making an incredible character, or like maybe the grind is okay. So this all plays into bad gameplay loop, right? But Metal Gear Solid 5,
Metal Gear Solid 5 grinding so annoying.
It is unbelievably annoying because what you have is like, oh, I need these materials to keep my base alive and to get this thing, but I really want the thing, so I'm going to keep grinding. But the gameplay was just so good where like I had to force myself to be like, well, the gameplay is good, so I'll just keep doing that. But that doesn't mean that like it did get tiring after a while, which is why I still don't have the plan for that game. But like, just don't give me homework for quests. There we go.
Yeah, and I think that's a good one. That's definitely a good one. I do think it depends on the person. Like, I do like resource management in games, which is weird, but not over resource.
Oh, I love it in Fallout and like Sims and Sim City and like Minecraft and stuff like that.
Right. But I mean, it just depends. My job is management. I graduated with a management degree. I don't want to manage in my games, but
I don't want to grind for hours. Like play like Final Fantasy X, like Final Fantasy 10, like 10-2, and like grind forever because I needed to get this person's limit break and be able to beat that monster.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy is notorious for people grinding, and it's not even a game where, like, I mean, it is a game where you sometimes you have to grind, but you know, I mean, Disgaea, that series, which is phenomenal, a phenomenal tactics series, is also. I mean,
you get the new one?
You can not yet. You know me, I can't buy it yet. Otherwise, I'll sit there with a whole bunch of games and not do anything with it. I did play the demo, phenomenal demo. The game I love that.
I do enjoy it.
But like you can literally grind the same level over and over again, reach your max level, and then redo the character. So you can then like it's called different things in different versions of the game, like Disgaea 1, 2, and 3, and 4 and 5. But you can literally like resurrect your character into a different form, and you start from zero, but you're like really strong, and like you can keep doing it over and over again. The point of the game is to grind because people like it. So I think it really does depend, right? And I think that's kind of a good con as well to mention, is that there's so many ways to make an open world game, and so you have to really find your audience and sell it to them.
Yes.
And don't try and spread yourself too thin and try and please everyone, because then you're inevitably going to fail.
Because then you're going to end up having like an Assassin's Creed 3 or like a Mad Max, from what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
So like the last con that I have is that like if these games being how big and expensive that they are, we were talking about this a couple nights ago. Since there are so many working parts in like this ever expanding world, it's very susceptible to bugs. Like this one, I have a perfect example, not in Fallout, but in The Witcher 3, one of the best games of the year, one of my favorite games of the year. There was a mission where it was one of my contracts, one of the beast contracts that I took on. You know, you go find a monster and you kill it and you get cool stuff, because I wanted a certain thing that I would get for this monster to create this sword that I really, really wanted. Shout out to Lady Peaches in the background. Like, she made a brief cameo there.
She did like 3 times. It's cool.
Oh yeah, well, she got me water. So this dragon that I was fighting, so here's the mountain. This dragon decided to just be like, I'm gonna walk into the mountain and not come out. It glitched into the mountain. It decided to find a big open hollow space in the mountain, and it literally would not get out of those polygons. So I'm like, I can't kill this thing. This quest is gated from me now. I can't make my sword. So I was really, really upset. So again, susceptible to bugs. Extremely susceptible to bugs.
The bigger the world is, the more you have to look at, and the more stuff you actually fill the world with to make it a better game, even the more bugs. One of the buggiest games, but one of the highest rated games, Fallout 4. Fallout 4, extremely buggy. Skyrim, extremely buggy. Barely ran on PS3, and because of all of that, it made it kind of difficult. Anyway, that's good. We went through pros, we went through cons, we went through feelings, how we kind of feel about open world games in general, went through a whole bunch of different types of open worlds. Here's what we're going to do. We have a couple more topics to go through, and that should only take about 15, 20 minutes, but we can go for 30, 40 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 5-minute break, which I will then cut out of this video, and you guys will hear a nice musical interlude, but I have to pee. So take a quick 5-minute break. Literally, we will reconvene. I'll just text you when we reconvene. But yeah, so we're going to reconvene. So enjoy this music segue right now.
Welcome back to the GearCast. Welcome back.
You froze. You literally just froze. That's so awkward.
I was molded by it.
Did you enjoy that musical interlude?
I hope you guys enjoyed that musical interlude, because we sure did. Kind of. It was literally only 5 seconds to us. It felt like a lifetime, but to you, it was 5 seconds. Not even 5 seconds. Maybe it was only 3 seconds. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, welcome back, guys. Welcome back, GearCast. This is going to be the last portion of today's GearCast. And, of course, we are all about open world games here today. We just talked about what open world games are. We rattled off a list of them. We talked about how we felt individually about open world games, pros and cons. And now it's time for things a little bit more personal. Our favorite open world games. We'll go one by one. We'll just list off a couple, 3 to 5. We don't want to miss 15 because we probably could. So why don't you go first? What is one of your favorite open world games? Maybe what started you on open world games?
Oh man, I don't know.
What started you loving open world games?
Okay, loving open world games? Obviously. It's the obvious choice. Skyrim. Like, oh my god. Like, so I couldn't get into Oblivion that much just because, it was old. The most time that I spent besides leveling up some characters and stuff like that is going over to Jangir's house and him being like, hey, I found this gold exploit. I'm going to need you to keep pressing this button so I can keep getting infinite gold. I'm like, okay. But Skyrim was the first time that I felt as though I got sucked into a world and I belonged there. And that just everything made sense. I was like, I can make whatever character I want. This freedom is unparalleled. It's fun to play. There's cool loot. There's cool lore. This is just awesome. This is just liquid awesome. But that was the first one.
All right. That's a good one. And along the same exact lines, my original game that got me into open world games, that really got me loving it. I've been playing open world games for a long time, but the one that really cried out to me was Far Cry. I'm just kidding. I just said cry, so I figured I'd add Far Cry. Oblivion, The Elder Scrolls 4. Elder Scrolls 4? Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion.
Remember, it was in the title.
I know I had mentioned this before. I had mentioned Oblivion before because I did Flaming Rapier build, the SMG Rapier build.
Yes.
And I mentioned that I love, open world RPGs where you have swords and you're running around, and I had missed that. Skyrim was terrible on the PlayStation 3. Still bad. A phenomenal game, and we still played it on the PlayStation 3, but it was terrible comparatively to the PC version, obviously, and the Xbox 360 version, and which will probably, unfortunately, never get a HD remake or anything like that to PlayStation 4. But who knows? But Oblivion, I played when it was released for Xbox 360, and phenomenal.
I have so many memories of losing you to that game.
My God. It's funny because I played this game before I knew you, right? I played this game before I even knew you, but 2-3 years later, I was still playing the game, and I still would leave and play that game with my friends that had the game. I did not own the game at the time, but we had our own profiles. Me and 2 or 3 of my other friends would go to my one friend's house. We all had profiles, and we'd all play the game. Like, oh, it's your turn, my turn, and we would play the game and get so invested in it. And we had the shared kill account where we would go around and be this evil person and just kill people. So we would play the game, and somebody would piss us off, but we were, none of us inherently liked playing as evil guys in the beginning. We always liked playing the good person and making good decisions. And so we would save the game, and then we would kill the person. And then we would go back to the actual save and play the game. And that in itself was enough, because we had one friend.
You gotta unwind the Bethesda RPGs, because I remember when I first became a werewolf in Skyrim, and I was like, well, I think I'm gonna need a few minutes with this, and I killed everyone in Whiterun.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny just because Skyrim is such a beautiful game, and there's so much right with it. They fixed archery in general. The bow is so much better in Skyrim.
So
Oblivion's
awesome.
terrible because you can't just do archery. Like, it's an additive portion where if you're a stealth character, but you couldn't just sit there and kill someone with a bow like you can in Skyrim. But magic was way better in Oblivion and things like that. You could create your own spells and stuff, and that was really cool. But Oblivion was a really big deal to me, because I did have my own character. I had 2 characters, I believe, and I went out and I just explored the world. And one of the things the first thing I did when I got a PC and I built it, was I had the disc for Oblivion, and I put it in and I installed it, and I got mods for it, and it looks like I'm playing a next gen game, PS4 version of the game, 1080p, 60 frames per second, easy.
It's almost 10 years old now, dude.
Almost. It's probably it's got to be more than 10 years old.
2006.
That's when it came out?
2006.
Wow. Huh, interesting.
Would you be surprised at all if there was if Oblivion and Skyrim got bundled together in a re-release for the 10th anniversary?
Yes, only because I don't know who would do it. Bethesda's busy.
Not true.
But I
look at that thing and be like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, I don't think that's a Blue Point task. That's a Bethesda thing. But I mean, I just really loved Oblivion, and I still think, I tell people to this very day, you should play it. You should play it. Go get Oblivion for your PC if you have one. If you don't, then I mean, I would even venture to say get it for a PS3 or an Xbox, because it's that awesome.
Oh, there's a girl in my class who I was talking about how excited I am for Fallout. She's like, yeah, I never played Fallout, but my brother and I really like to play Oblivion, and she was real into the Thieves Guild stuff. We were at the Harvard Museum of Natural History. Yeah. And she's like, hey, look, it's a great box. And I thought she was talking about Metal Gear. I was like,
yes,
what about Metal Gear? And she's like, no, in Oblivion, the Thieves Guild, you become Gray Fox. And I'm like, oh, spoilers. 10-year-old spoilers, whatever. But no, that was really cool how much it resonates with people, how still even it's funny how, because we were so young back then, you know what I mean, to having the giant open world to be a part of, especially that early on, that it's so amazing to see how that resonated with people.
God, I just love that game so much. I literally could sit here and just marinate in thought about Oblivion and how amazing it is, and how much time I sank into it, and how much time I will continue to sink into it, because I always revisit the game on PC.
Welcome to Bethesda Cast.
Yeah, I could do it. Maybe I'll do some screen cap and do a couple of videos. Anyway, so next one, let's do go ahead and rattle off maybe a couple that you really liked, and then we'll move on, because that was a long time. So go ahead, just rattle off maybe 3 or 4 and say a couple things about them, and we'll move on to the next portion.
Minecraft is a perfect game. I love it. I love Minecraft. It's just, I love it. Being an artistic person and being able to make whatever I want, it creates a beautiful gameplay loop. You want an iron sword, go down there and use different sorts of tools to get the iron that you want. You want to make a giant castle made of nether brick? Yeah, okay, here's what you have to do to get it. It rewards you for putting so much time into it, and just again, being the sort of artsy-fartsy person that I am, I get really into stuff like pixel art. I love making my own like big lavish castles and stuff like that. So yeah, Minecraft is just it's the perfect sandbox game in my opinion. Other than that, Phantom Pain, incredible. Like the gameplay is just immaculate. Oh my god, is immaculate. And it's a game that respects me and takes me seriously and expects a lot of things from me. It can get very grindy. The story traditionally doesn't make a lot of sense. And can definitely alienate to people that don't know as much as much Metal Gear as some other fans. But the gameplay is just so freaking great. It's a beautiful game. That game that huge at 60 frames per second. Oh my god, that's amazing. It's a technical marvel. And of course, Fallout 4. I'm sorry, there's so many things that annoy me about that game. And by so many things, I mean like 3. But
3 general things.
yeah.
3 general things that can extrapolate out into 1,000. But
but like again, it feels so good. I remember when I first crawled out of Vault 111 and I looked around and I'm like, I'm back. Like their tagline for advertising is "Welcome Home," and Bethesda fully acknowledges that they create worlds that players love to get lost in. So like that line really resonated with me, getting out of the vault and being like, I'm back. I'm back in a Bethesda game for the first time in years. You know what I mean? And I was like, this world is mine and I'm going to own it. And I do. Like being able to build my own house from the get-go, make it awesome in whatever way I want. That's so awesome. I have an awesome house. Just putting that out there. Maybe I'll send you screenshots. But I don't know. The gameplay loop, awesome. The story is awesome. The side quests are awesome. Like, just good. It's good stuff. I'm gonna hide.
All right, no, that's good. That's good. That was about 3 different ones, and I thought they were all good choices. Quickly, I'll just say,
I'm kidding.
That counts. All the Lego games are all very good choices for favorite open world games. All the Lego games are phenomenal. Most of
games.
Yeah. MGS 5, Metal Gear Solid 5, phenomenal game. I keep playing it. Even though I get fatigued from having to go out and just like grind,
he's coming too.
It's only because I want to keep getting more stuff, and I keep doing it.
Reminds me of MMO, doesn't it? I want the thing.
Yeah, kind of. There are definitely times where I'm like, man, I just feel like I keep grinding, but MMOs can be even worse usually, and the gameplay in MMOs usually aren't that great, to me at least, and I like action stuff.
Click.
Right. Depends on the game. Terra is a little bit different. Anyway, GTA 5, a phenomenal game that I never beat because the online squandered it for me. I'm more of a serious type of gamer, which we'll talk about another day. So when I played GTA 5, online, it ruined it. But I loved GTA 5, the story mode. I just felt like I was playing as these characters.
We'll make your online experience a lot better.
You can't shoulder swap.
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible. And that alone, every time I tried to get back in it, was terrible. But yeah, who knows?
Watch Dogs. I'm kidding. I'm completely kidding.
Oh God. Well, nah. Anyway, GTA 5. That was a phenomenal open world game. But Infamous is probably one of my favorites. Infamous is one of my favorite series of all time. And Second Son, I honestly believe, is phenomenal. A lot of people don't like it as much. And I think that's because they got attached to Cole. But because I didn't like 2, I was already detached to Cole from Infamous 1. So when I got back into Delson, and I loved Delson. A lot of people didn't like Delson. A lot of people were like, Delson's just some hipster guy. And I was like, yeah, but he's cool.
I think it's because my Troy Baker burnout.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. If I don't think about it, sometimes I don't even recognize it's Troy, but just because I don't think about it enough, I actually thought
Shadow Mordor is his best role.
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah,
besides Joel.
Yeah, right. I don't have much burnout for Troy comparatively to Sasuke, where I literally hear his voice everywhere. I still there are just times where, well, not anymore, but when
I broke your DVD, I'm like, oh, I forgot it's you. Oh.
Yeah, I didn't realize it then. I still don't. When I hear it now, I don't really recognize it. But when you hear the scream, I remember when you played Red Steel or whatever for Wii, and all of a sudden you hear ah! And I was like, Sasuke, what? Anyway.
In Fallout 4, I killed him.
I'm sure he is. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, I think that's good for me. Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, Infamous, MGS5, and GTA 5. I don't really have any other. Like I said, I like open world games. Technically, Pokemon was phenomenal as well. I could sit there and talk about my original, times with Pokemon and realizing that I could pretty much go anywhere and go back and do things and
playing Pokemon Y in the short time that I had a Nintendo handheld to find out I could change my clothes and skin color. I lost my mind.
Yeah, that's what I wish I had. We had that in the old one, but I mean, the old ones. I mean, just knowing I could go back and go get a new Pokemon and bring it back up to me was always a really big deal. Another reason why I love Persona 4 so much, and Legend of Zelda series, obviously phenomenal. One of my favorite games again is Wind Waker. Yeah, Twilight Princess. That's true. Say it again. I didn't hear you.
Wind Waker's a phenomenal game. In the short time that I had a Wii U, that remake blew me away because I never got to play it on the GameCube before.
Oh man, yeah, that was one of my games on GameCube. I played all starting from Ocarina of Time. Actually, I mean, I played old ones, but starting from Ocarina of Time, I played them all up until Skyward Sword, and I really, really enjoyed those. Anyway. Yeah, so that was our favorite open world games. As you can probably tell, guys, is that me and Vampire Peaches, we really, I think one of the differences in open world games is you can get lost, even in your thoughts of it. I love Oblivion so much that I can just sit here and get lost in the idea of loving it. And so sometimes I'm just like, man, I just really, really enjoyed that game.
In a 1 minute burst, give me your least favorite.
My least favorite open world?
An open world game that you hate.
I hate? I don't know. That I hate. I mean, I hated Far Cry 2. Rage was really boring. I didn't hate it. I really didn't like I'm Alex Mercer. Prototype. A lot of people liked it, but I didn't really like it. I don't know.
Mine's easy. Can you guess what mine is? You are part of that big tidal wave of disappointment.
Watch Dogs?
Yeah.
So funny. The next segment that we're going to talk about actually is, I feel like there's a rant that you want to have. So go ahead.
Pre-ordering that thing digitally was the worst thing I ever did.
Oh, pre-orders. We'll talk about that. Oh, worst thing you ever did. Hold up. You got a platinum for it.
For Watch Dogs?
You beat that at my place. Didn't you platinum that?
I didn't platinum the game. I beat it at your house.
I not only did I pre-order that game, I pre-ordered the mega edition of that game. That was the definitive time in my life, which was a year ago, when I sat there and I was like, you know what? Yeah, pre-ordering is bad. Which another podcast for another time, but man, I was so pissed off. Now, I don't hate the game, and this is a conversation I do want to have in a couple minutes, but I don't hate the game, Watch Dogs. And, again, comment section below, guys, if you've played Watch Dogs, let me know your feelings about it. I don't hate it. But disappointment is the word.
Yeah, so, again, functional game. It's not like it didn't work. But what I hated is that the journey that I went through to get it and actually play it and have it have it collapse via the hype train, and for me seeing what it ultimately was, another boring Ubisoft sandbox with unlikable characters, really lame missions, but good gunplay, very good gunplay, fun gunplay. I don't know. I hate that game a lot, man. I have such a grudge against that game for disappointing me. And
I think this is because of what you mentioned before is, Peaches and I, we rate games on money. Like, we spent the money and was it worth the money? And that was one of those games that was not worth the money. Is it a bad game? No. If you bought that game for $20 and you were like,
it's definitely a $20 game.
This is cool. I'm running around shooting stuff. This is basically GTA.
How much was that digital deluxe or with the season pass or whatever?
Oh, dude, don't. Why are you reminding me of all?
I'm sorry, you don't need to answer. A lot of money. Okay, moving
I
on.
remember I got the Bad Blood DLC or whatever because I got the season pass because I got the deluxe edition or whatever. Never touched it. Never touched it. I never will. It's just. I mean Okay, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. See,
so
you're making me hate it. I don't actually hate it. Okay. We're gonna go into our next segment, and you'll see why. Most anticipated open world games in the upcoming year. And I'll say my first one is Watch Dogs 2. And the reason that I mention this is because Watch Dogs isn't a bad game. It was the hype train blew it up. The hype train, and we'll talk about this another time as well. I do want to have a GearCast all about hype train, pre-orders, stuff like that. And the problem is that Watch Dogs, I was so psyched about it, but Ubisoft has this, I used to call it the Ubi effect, which was every game they take and they're like, Ubi effect. And all of a sudden they have these massive buildings that you go to that you have to climb or infiltrate or get in or interact with somehow, and you unlock part of the map. Every
Ubisoft Watchtowers.
Every single one. Well, it depends on the game. It depends on the game. If it's Assassin's Creed, you go climb up on that thing and you do the eagle thing, and you're like, ah! If it's Far Cry, you climb the dumb radio tower, and it's like, and it goes all over the place. If it's Watch Dogs, you go ahead and go to one of those CTOS centers and you break in, which honestly was quite fun because you had to shoot up a whole bunch of people to get in, and then of course you can go to all these places, and there's always sound, and there's always a camera flying all over the place, and it's super
Shadow with the slow motion hammer, like
right, and then a whole bunch of other, and then for some reason WB was like, which by the way, another thing when we talk about another podcast all about the big publishers, the WB is quite a big one now, but they're the ones that published Shadows of Mordor, and Shadows of Mordor did the same thing. Go up to the giant tower, king, the whole world's open. Like, I understand, it makes sense, and I don't even hate it. And Shadows of Mordor, which is a great open world game, that's a good one, a phenomenal open world game. It's like what I wish Assassin's Creed was. It just, for some reason, when Ubisoft does it every time, and they make, and in Far Cry it was way too much. In Far Cry it was like, I decided at one point, I was just like, I'm just gonna fly to every single one of them. I'm just gonna take my hang glider, fly as far as I can, get one of those chopper things, and fly to the next one. And that's what I did. The whole entire map was open to me because I was like, screw it, I don't want to do the rest of this. And I just climbed every tower. And that was a combination of me, and because I got so bored of it, Phoenix then ran around and helped me do the same thing. Annoying.
Quick honorable mention for my open world games I really like. Dying Light took me.
Looks like you dropped. That's okay. As you guys know, we have a lot of technical difficulties sometimes. Hopefully he'll join us back by phone or something like that. But I know we get on rants a lot, and obviously, like I said before, you guys can tell with these open world games, we can get lost quite easily. And I actually got off topic when I mentioned Watch Dogs. I'm really excited for our Watch Dogs 2, and that's because Watch Dogs 1 was a really great game in terms of its gameplay. But the rest of it was terrible, and that's what made it a good game. It was like, yeah, this is a good game, not worth $60. So I'm excited to see what Ubisoft does to make it a $60 game that really is worth the money and is a great experience. Ubisoft actually did mention the fact that Watch Dogs 2 will be vastly different than Watch Dogs 1. Oh, nice, and he's back. I was actually just telling everybody how why I am excited for Watch Dogs 2, and that's because, like I said, Watch Dogs 1, its gameplay really was fantastic. But
do you
the
think
rest
it's going to be Assassin's Creed 2 to Assassin's Creed? Like, Assassin's Creed was bad, but Assassin's Creed 2...
I hope so. Yeah. I was just mentioning that Ubisoft said the fact that they realized a lot of people didn't like Watch Dogs 1. And I remember actually getting a survey very quickly after I had beaten Watch Dogs 1, and they were like, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Which never happens. I never get surveys asking me how I like the game, and that was awesome. And I was like, I'm excited for Watch Dogs 2, and I'm not afraid of the hype train blowing up again because I won't hop on the train this time. Instead, I'll just kind of watch it go by and see where it goes. But I really do think that Ubisoft has a great IP on their hands. There's a lot of interesting things going on, and I think that they can really make it work, but they have to try really hard to make it work. There are a lot of
Definitely.
characters I liked in that game that I don't think they did justice for. There are a lot of interesting.
Oh, I didn't like any of them.
See, I liked a lot of them, but the development wasn't good. I almost want to say I liked all of them, but none of them, but not their entirety. I thought the ideas of them were really cool. I liked the hood guy that had a whole bunch of like business smarts and came in and was like doing really great things there, but made really bad decisions and all that stuff. I mean, the only guy I really didn't like was I can't even remember his name now. What was his name?
I don't know. The only one that I think of any has sort of any redeeming quality was the Asian guy. He was cool.
Yeah, he was hysterical. He was phenomenal. Actually,
Really
I would venture to say that he's one of the best support characters in a game ever. He was amazing. I mean, I really thought the supporting cast was good. I thought the girl was good. I thought her design was really good. I just thought that they missed a lot of character development on them, and they could have spent more time on those characters. The supporting cast was so much better, and that's
T-Bone, is
what
that the guy you don't like?
T-Bone was fine too. No, the main character. What was the main character's name?
Oh, boring McGravelly wears a hat
He
all
was
day.
so
in a trench
boring.
coat.
That was the problem.
I don't remember his name. Aiden
He was terrible.
Pierce.
Aiden Pierce. He was boring. He was really boring. His story was boring. Everyone else in the game was interesting and was not invested into. So the whole game was boring. And I think that they're going to do something drastic with Watch Dogs 2 because so many people that were affected negatively by Watch Dogs 1 that they will do a drastic change in 2 and they'll make it a really big difference. It could be a really big contender for GTA 5 if they do it correctly. If they do it correctly and they add in the right information and they fix things, which I think they will, I really do. I do think you're right in terms of saying that it's going to be the Assassin's Creed 2 to their Assassin's Creed 1. I think that they can do that, and it's not a semi-annual franchise. They actually don't have it on. They don't have it on a schedule at all. So they'll take as long as they want to make Watch Dogs 2, and I think they do. And they are. They're definitely making it. The IP is created, and it made them a ton of money, and they were not going to give it up. So they're going to try again because they know it'll at least sell enough, and then I think they'll fix it to make sure it stays selling. That's what I think, and I hope they do. So it's one of my most anticipated, even though there is no foreseeable future. How about you go ahead and mention the one that you're excited for?
Oh, obvious. Flipping out Alloy and the robot dinosaurs and the Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yep.
Come on, bring it! I'm so ready. It's just that looks so awesome. I can definitely see how it's going to play really cool into resource management and weapon building and really cool monsters to fight and different sorts of tactical ways. You know me, I love my bow and arrow in games. So again, and also like a really cool female protagonist, the different sorts of armor sets. I'm ready. This game looks just so dope. So dope.
Yeah, we were talking about it the other day, how there were no last podcast that we couldn't think of any action, like third-person action games besides Metal Gear. I was like, yeah, man, I can't think of any. And I think that, I think that's something that say it again?
Besides Infamous, I guess.
Right, I think we might have mentioned Infamous. We might not have, but those are the only two. And I think PlayStation does those third-person action games very well. Their studios are really good at that, even though they're known for the Guerrilla Games is known for Killzone. I think we'll see. I think this is going to be the next third-person, open world RPG with narrative the narrative that I'm
really
looking.
Nice to see them stretch and do something completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I 100% agree with you. That was on my list as most anticipated. You have another one? Maybe because we shared that one.
Oh, duh! No Man's Sky.
Yep. Also another one. Also another most anticipated.
Are you kidding me? Explore an entire universe where no one's going to discover the same planets. Literally, like billions and billions of planets where I get to name my own stuff. Like I could be like a space pirate. I don't have to touch down on a planet at all. Like again, it was built for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. To be like my own experiences, do whatever I want with all this resource management and building and stuff. I'm like, do I get to treat it like Minecraft? Do I actually get to be able to role play as a space pirate? Again, there's just so many things that you can do. I'm gonna name every single fish that I find Floppy and Floppus and Floppicle, and just see if someone will run into it.
What is this, Pokemon? Go Floppus, evolve too. I almost said Digivolve. Flop them on it. Dude, we should compete and see how many animals we can name, and I'll name them all Digimon and you'll name them all Pokemon. So I'll just be like Fishymon, Digivolves 2, Fisharamon or something, and you'll just do fish flopper. I got lost. Pokemon versus Digimon, bring it. This podcast just got real.
What's your next most anticipated open world game?
Let me know in the comment section below. Pokemon versus Digimon, and I don't know if you guys watched the whole video to see what people say. Anyway. So another my next most anticipated. I agree with you. No Man's Sky. I'm actually my next one is The Division. Which we mentioned up top when we, the beginning. The Division is my most anticipated game, period, actually. Open world, RPG, third-person shooter. I like all of those things. Co-op online gameplay. I really love hope that.
It works, dude.
I even if it doesn't, the gameplay I've already seen is so awesome that I could literally just be okay with that. Like Watch Dogs I watched it and I was like, I think this might be the game that the contender for GTA, because I don't necessarily always love GTA story and stuff like that. I love 5, that was phenomenal, but I was like, all of this cyber stuff is really interesting to me, but I didn't really dive into gameplay too much. This one, I'm watching like a hawk, and I have not missed anything. Anytime something comes out, I look at it, I watch it, and I'm like, I think this is it, and I have yet to be disappointed by anything. So we'll see. But even just having an online experience, if for some reason they just added an online experience for Watch Dogs, infinitely better, just because I could mess around in the game, just because I could just shoot stuff and hate the game with another person. But because I couldn't do that, same thing. That's what happened with Capcom's Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma, I stopped playing after a while because I couldn't play with another person. I mean, sure, I liked the idea. The novel
in the game never beat it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the fact that I could use my friend's, partner or whatever. I mean, Phoenix has beaten the whole game, I think, twice. I mean, he's really, really, Pawn. I really, really enjoy. He really, really enjoyed that game. But I really think the Division and its online capabilities and its online first game, I do believe you can play it by yourself. But I'm just really excited for the Division. I think that's going to be a great one. Any more for you?
Cheese and crackers. Not whatever they're doing for the next Infamous. Everything that I'm excited for. Oh, Hitman. Are you kidding me? Hitman.
That's a good one.
I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be open world, but the kind of like the.
No, it is.
As much as it's gonna be like open maps for contracts, but I guess if we're letting it count, Hitman, sure.
I'm pretty sure it's open world. They were like, this is an open world, assassination game. If you Google it,
well, we're going
I think that's
all over the world or whatever.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's a good one. Hitman's a good one, and it'll be interesting to see how they take on stealth comparatively to MGS 5, because MGS 5 technically is phenomenal, and it'll be interesting to see how.
It's the best tactical stealth game ever made right now. I can't wait again. That breeds competition, right? I can't wait to see who's going to try and top it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how they manage that. Hitman's definitely a good one. 2 more. I'll just say them now. Elder Scrolls, the new Elder Scrolls. I'm ready for it. Obviously. I'm ready for a next gen Elder Scrolls that
see it in another 4 years.
Yeah, we'll see. I had some coworkers a year ago tell me that they were like, oh, it'll come out 2015. I think they said. They were like 2015. I was like, nope. They're like 2016 at least, early 2016. I was like, nope. And they were like, no. And I was like 2017 late, maybe. They have Fallout 4 and they have ESO. And there are tons of people still playing ESO that love ESO. They're going to give a lot of attention to that to make more money so they can make a phenomenal or fantastic, I keep saying phenomenal, Elder Scrolls game. But I cannot wait for an Elder Scrolls game that just might have 4-player co-op.
No.
Please.
It's not happening.
Please.
It's not going to.
Or a 1-person co-op.
1-person co-op, fine. Okay.
Like even if it's just completely separate, which is weird, but I don't care if they just have some weird like dungeon crawler mechanic where you go in and like you can party up with another person. Like what's that game that we both liked but didn't love because we're not really BioWare, Dragon Age. Dragon Age's weird online thing that a lot of people actually kind of liked. If they did that with Oblivion or Elder Scrolls, I'd do it. I'd play it. I mean, I'm gonna play it no matter what, but I would love to see.
Are popping out right now.
I would what?
Your true colors are like, would it be great if you did with Oblivion? Sorry, whatever had next Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, dude, next Elder Scrolls would be awesome. And then the last one is whatever the next Borderlands is. Borderlands 2, I spent an ungodly amount of time. I beat it 5 times-ish. Actually, I mean, I definitely beat it twice, and then I played it with a whole bunch of other characters and went all over the place. I modded the game. I ran all over the place and did a whole bunch of things.
Everybody, Fat Kid Babyseat Platinum Borderlands 2. That
I hate
him.
He's nuts.
Him. He almost lost his save, by the way, because a Black Ops 3 bug ended up people had to initialize their system. He almost lost his save.
Well, I did lose my save, remember? That's why I didn't platinum it. I lost my save, and then I cheated to get all my stuff back. Yeah, that's right. I'm a cheater. Why? Because I lost all of my information. I lost all of my game saves, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna play it all over again. So then I modded it on PC and brought it over to PS3, and I couldn't freaking the last. It was like get 50 million shotgun kills. Like no, I'm done.
I remember specifically what trophy you had left because you kept complaining about it for like a half hour.
The map one and the trophy, and then there was like finishing all of the, I don't remember what it was, but like finishing the shotgun thing and then finding this guy. And I was like, this is stupid and I don't want to do it anymore. And again, trophies are for another time. But yeah, Borderlands 3 or Border Worlds or whatever, I am super excited. I love that kind of open world mechanism where you travel back to kill bosses again and loot stuff and do missions and you're going out. But it's definitely a linear progression, and I just love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. So that's basically it. We went through a lot today. This was a bit of a longer episode, but I definitely open world games. Talking about games at all is really what I love. Being able to just talk about games without any kind of gamers without borders. I really enjoy that. Being able to talk about whatever. And obviously, like I said again, guys, we got lost today. We got lost because we really enjoyed talking about a lot of these games.
Much
and we
like you would in a good open world game.
Right. And we want to talk about these open world games with you guys. So again, in the comment section below, if you made it this far, again, surprising if you guys made it this far, but if you made it this far, remember, Pokemon vs. Digimon, and let us know what your guys' favorite open world games are. Let us know, what kind of memories you guys have with these games. And again, we will talk about it in our next episode. We'll mention you guys. We'll give you guys some shout outs. And we really want to have a conversation with you guys. What are some of your favorite open world games? What are your most anticipated open world games? We're excited for it. We're excited for all these games. We want you guys to be excited too. So let's have a conversation. But that's it for me.
Like Wii U Zelda, let us know. We don't care. Just
say
something. Let us know.
Yeah, anything. But that's basically it from us, guys. So last words. Do you have any last comments about open world games? Things you're interested in, things you don't like, whatever. Any last comments?
I'm gonna go put a jetpack on my power armor now.
Gotcha. All right. So continue playing Fallout 4. That's my last comment is that I think that there's still space in the open world genre or whatever you called it, open world type of game. But I really do, right? Good pun, right? I do think there's a lot of open space there, and I don't think it's oversaturated. And I think that there are still games that are missing that you really publishers and developers just need to sink in deep and find that stuff and just really bring it to life, because there are a lot of ideas out there for open world games that haven't been met yet. I think MMOs are a great example. MMOs are kind of doing the same thing over and over again. And if you start meshing the console action RPG category or console action adventure games with these MMO games, I think you'll start to see an interesting open world mechanism kind of appear. And I don't see that yet. And I think a lot of these open world games are still missing some immersion factors, which I think VR is really going to help. And then lastly, I think there are still just some IPs that are missing. More IPs. We need more stories. One of the reasons I did like Watch Dogs is because they did try something different. Even though it was basically a GTA clone, they did a different story, and I like that. And all I'm saying is do a little bit more, add a little bit more, and I think that would be really cool. So, but that's it from us, guys. Again, like I said, let us know what you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Comment for everything that I already told you to comment on. Subscribe for more awesome Chain Gear gaming goodness from myself, from Vampire Peaches, to see more GearCast. Let us know what you guys are thinking and tell us what you want to see on the next episode. Share this video all over the internet. That way everyone knows about open world games. Everybody knows about all the news and all the releases that we talk about. Everybody gets to just hear us talk because that's fun. People love that, right? You guys love hearing us talk, right? Right?
Oh, whatever that new Shadow of the Colossus game is. You know what I mean? There's like a new Shadow of the Colossus type of game that's coming out for PC. Look that up. It's like Ice Giants.
What? Shadow?
Anyway, we'll see you later. Bye.
No, you messed up. Shadow of Colossus type PC game.
Yep.
Is there a PC game similar to Ico and Shadow of the Colossus? Pray for the Gods?
Maybe.
No idea what you're talking about. Yep, this is the end of GearCast, guys. Me just looking up.
How you guys doing? You enjoying Black Ops?
Stuff. This is hysterical. There's this. So if you guys go on GameSpot and look up, is there a PC game similar to Ico/Shadow of the Colossus? Crisis, maybe? What are you trying to say? That's what the guys they go. Try Darksiders or Lost Planet 2 if you're looking for big, cool-looking baddies. And then some guys like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
What the heck?
Good. You gotta love these guys. Anyway, like I said, that's it from us, guys. So we'll hopefully. No, we know we'll see you online.
Yeah, it's Pray for the Gods.
We what? Mitt, seriously, you're not gonna let this episode end.
Nope.
You're not gonna let it end. Well, let's just look it up. Oh man, holy crap.
Yeah.
What is this? Look it up, guys. Look it up. Pray for the Gods. It's basically Shadow of the Colossus for PC. It's literally what it says, Kotaku. A bleak landscape. Battles against massive enemies, which you have to climb over. Pray for the Gods is Shadow of the Colossus without waiting for Shadow of the Colossus. All right, guys. It's been fun. See you online, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.